We roll.
And we are live. Yes, we are. Good morning, good morning, good morning, South Florida. Hello, world. I'm Robert Henderson Jr., President, Founder, CEO of the Henderson Financial Group. I'm a certified financial planner, certified tax coach. Been in business for over 37 years or 30 years. So time
Whatever.
flies. whatever. Just been in business. Love what I do. Located here in Miami Lakes, Florida. Clients all over the country and out of the country. We're a full service financial planning firm. And today we're talking about understanding money with my one and only, my friend, my brother from another mother. And that is the fabulous, legendary James T. How you doing, my brother?
Rob, it's so good to be back, man. It really is good to be back. I doing great. My family, I'm like you, family in town and loving it. Rob,
Busy.
the first time in over 30 years, I got a chance to play 36 holes yesterday because we used to play 36 holes of golf. So
I remember
yesterday,
that.
yeah. Oh man, yesterday I started with my nephew, and then went with another friend in the afternoon. And I said, you know something? I said, I feel good, Rob. It's something about this thing that we're doing, fasting, praying,
Oh,
eating,
yeah.
trying to eat right, feel right. It's all good.
That's a good
But
thing when you're working on yourself, right?
brother, yeah, Rob, you just said when we work on ourselves continuously at being better. Oh,
Yes.
that is such a powerful thing, and not only from a physical standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint. And hey, Rob, I just believe just like plants and trees or whatever, if you're not growing, you're dying.
That's true. It's
You
either
know,
or.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
either or. It's yin or it's yang. I mean, it's either or. If you're not growing,
Come on, man.
you're dying. You're either going up or going down.
And Rob, who wants to suffer? Hey, Rob, I spoke at the family reunion because we're going to bring on a guest in a few, and a brother that I love, and I love him for his tenacity and his continued growth. The whole family. He inspires all of us to continue to build. But one of the things that I talked about at the reunion is what we talk about on many occasions, and that is, the fact that we have to recognize that we have the kingdom of heaven right here on earth. And Rob, when I said that at our session, our final session, we have a we don't call it church. We meet together, but we have a speaker, and we praise and worship God, right? And when I said that, I felt a chill come over the room. When I said, no longer are we dying to go to heaven. But then I followed it up, Rob, and I said, remember, he said that the kingdom of heaven is here, you know. And so I hope I didn't offend too many of my family members when I said
Yeah, yeah, man. Some people just regurgitate, and are not listening to the meaning of the words. And when you break it down like that,
mm.
it's like an epiphany. They're like, "Huh? What is he? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, James? The kingdom of heaven is
Yeah.
already here.
Woo.
I mean, that's a conversation that we don't have a lot, and most people don't understand it. Most of us is going through when it comes to religion. We kind of like going to just chance and not
Yeah.
really letting it absorbing it and really being engaged and knowing exactly what's going on.
Right.
I too excited about I guess a brother from another mother also, Dr. Malone. As soon as I started talking to him, I took to him right away, man. It's a kindred. We all know each other. You know that. It's a
Right.
spiritual thing that we can recognize. It's a power of discernment when you know who is the truth and who is the real deal, who ain't gonna try to rip you off or mislead you. And we all are servants in our own way. We do different things, but our whole goal is to serve others, serve
Woo.
mankind, and you're working on helping out, serving, and that's you have some people that do and some people that don't. I mean, we recognize each other and we know we're serving in different ways, but we're good at what we do. And that's what I like about Dr. Malone here. And I thank you so much for introducing me to the doctor, James.
Well, Rob, that's the networking. That's when we find our giftedness, and we share it. Because I tell people often, You know, a true leader empowers others. You
That's
know,
true.
a lot of people in leadership positions, but they're not really leaders. They're in a position of leadership. True leaders empower others. And if I can't empower you, Rob, I can't lead. But if we can come together in different with different gifts and we can begin to share my gift with your gift, our gift with their gift, all of a sudden we're beginning to build something. And then all of a sudden we'll find ourselves in a position to say to someone else, hey, we can help you because
Yes.
I have a friend or I have a relationship. And that's what I love about this program, Understanding Money in the Henderson Financial Group. You know, you and I talked about this recently and saying a lot of people would say, well, why is he giving away this information free? Well, you can get the information, which is the knowledge, but you need the comprehension, which is the understanding before you ever get to the wisdom of application. you know, so just because you're giving out the information, if you're a wise person or if you're truly seeking the understanding, you're not going to run out there and say, I think I heard him say this and I'm going to do this. And no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call Mr. Henderson and tell him that I'm interested in what he's saying. I heard him say this, and I'd love for him to help me where I am, because none of us is in the same place at the same time.
That's right. You said it, brother. You said it. Well, so without further ado, let's bring on the doctor in. You ready?
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
Dr. Malone.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wait, Rob, can I introduce my brother-in-law? Can I introduce him? And then
Absolutely.
Because you know more about what he's into. But I will, ladies and gentlemen, this is my brother-in-law. He's Dr. Scott Malone, visiting South Florida right now from the area of Perry, Georgia. But he has friends, relationships with people throughout the Georgia, particularly the area where he lives, and even further than that. So he's Dr. Scott Malone, and this brother is a creator. What I love most about him, other than him loving my sister and the family, I love the fact that he is an inventor. I love creators. I love people who think about those things that don't exist and bring them into existence. So with that in mind, Robert, you can, because you know in detail what he's doing. So
yes. Yes. Okay. So Doc, I want to share, because you and I have been talking a lot, Larissa, and we've been talking about the game plan, future, the things that are going to show up on the visible plane sooner or later. And I want to share, and I'm gonna ask you some questions. So I'm gonna talk to you all, and I'm talk to you, and I want you to break it down to me like a 6-year-old. So I'm gonna ask you some questions, and the reason why I'm asking these questions, because like Linda always say, I can hear the people saying, "Huh? What is that?" So I'm gonna ask you some questions, and then because I know you could really get into this thing, because you in the knee deep. You're like a genius in this thing. You see it, and a lot of people can't see it. So we're gonna first paint the picture using paint numbers, and we're gonna build this thing. And then so I want the audience to, when we finish, they'll know exactly what it is you do, why you doing it, the solution, the problem, and the solution. Okay, you ready? Okay. So Doc, there is a problem out there when it comes to not only sports but injury. And traditionally, it's been going. They've been handling this challenge the same way for a lot of years. You have come up with something with your company EAD that is a solution to a problem. You're going to not only make things good, but you're going to make them better. So this problem and this solution and this project that you got going, how, first of all, tell us the problem and why did you come up with a solution? Tell us the problem, because most people don't even know where they are. So tell us where we are. Tell us why this is needed and what is it. And once the audience know what's the before, I want you to tell them the after. So what is the problem that you saw that you feel that need to be fixing? What is it?
Well, Robert, very early on in my career in medicine. What I do sports medicine. And I was fortunate to train with world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. And if anybody looks him up, he just retired. He's like #1 orthopedic surgeon in the world. When I was training with Dr. Andrews, as Jimmy said, I've always been very, very alert and aware of my environment. And we would see the top athletes from all over the world. One of the things I realized in the medical realm, just like what you do on your show, when the doctor explains things to a lot of people are afraid to let you know they don't understand what you're saying. That's #1, especially
That's
with
true.
athletes, because they have this stigma that they don't want to be perceived as that dumb athlete. And so I realized that we had to find a way to break this down and explain it. The other thing is, when you get injured, the vast majority of people, when they get injured, they recover. But a lot don't. You have a severe injury that can take you out for a season or extended period of time, or season ending or career ending. When you're playing at a pro level, then a lot of things come into play. Teams have to make decisions. Insurance decisions are made. There's disability policies. Agents become involved. Family gets involved. And you're wondering what's going to happen with you, with your career. Is it over? Now, was I smart enough to have a disability policy that would cover my losses? What are my actual losses? The team has to decide, well, what are their losses? All these things start going through my mind. And then the other thing that I realized, even though in that time, Dr. Andrews said he did not treat workers' comp, what he meant was if you worked at the steel factory and you got hurt, he didn't see those kind of injuries. So in my mind, the way I think, I'm like, okay, well, if it's a professional athlete and he's playing for the Yankees and he gets hurt, who pays the bill? So when you start digging and taking a deep dive, those bills are managed by third-party administrators or insurance companies who, because really they had nobody challenge them, they make up what the rates are. The team has to pay, and they control what they're going to pay. They control how long they're going to pay it. So adding up all these factors, excuse me, I went to Dr. Andrews one day and I said, you know what? And this was in '97. I said, I'm going to change the way athlete injuries and disabilities and their impairments are dealt with. He looked at me, gave me a funny look. He said, now anybody else, I think they're crazy. But you, he said, I'll wait and see. So 3 years I came back, was telling my ideas. Then by about 2000, started writing my ideas. Because if you dream it and believe it, you conceive it, you write it down, it'll
That's right.
come true. And of course, you got to pray about it. So started writing it. And then because of my background, I'm a biomedical engineer, I understood technology. One of my goals in medicine was ultimately to combine healthcare and technology. And then I started understanding how patents are written. And we got data modeling, which now we call artificial intelligence, machine learning. And I started writing it. Then I had to find a lawyer that believed in what I said. And I went to 2 or 3 lawyers and I said, this is what I want to do. And they said, you can't do that. Now, Jimmy would tell you, I'm not the person you can tell you can't do it. Because if you tell me I can't, I'm going to find a way. Finally found a lawyer in 2005, started writing the patent. It took from 2005 to 2011, I got patents. Now, the patent combines the elements that we were talking about. What we do is we take an athlete and we look at the sport, we look at the position, we look at the injury types you're likely to get, and we look at progression of injury. Now, what I mean by that is if you have a meniscus tear in your knee, when and at what point could that progress to arthritis? When should you expect it based on your position? And then we went and we expanded on it and got newer patents, changed it from data modeling to artificial intelligence to machine learning. And I was having some discussions after being approved. And I presented to American Sports Medicine Institute. Andrews Research Institute, and both of them agreed that they would support my efforts along the lines. I just did not know enough about the business side and how to put it together with the right business team. So I went to about 10 people over. This is around 2013, the last 10 years, and now we're there. So now make it simple. What we've done is we created a new market niche dealing with elite athlete injury impairments and disabilities. What we call is an injury life cycle. Simplistically, athlete gets hurt. There's an assessment, and we see this every day on TV. You have a team doctor, see athletic trainers. They may assess them on the field, take them in a tent. Sometimes they take them back in the locker room. Let's talk football, for instance. Okay, and they come back out. I know in a lot of the viewers' minds are wondering what the crap, what did they do? Okay, and then once you do that, and hopefully they go back in the game and they play, then after the end of the game, you treat them in the locker room or they come back for treatment during the week. Well, what if you can't go back in the game? Now you got to deal with the severity of the injury. So what we do, our next step, we develop an injury risk score. Again, that's based on position, player, injury types you're likely to get. Then's where it gets really neat. We do something that nobody does. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that will predict injuries and prevention of injuries. You see it on Monday night, Thursday night, ESPN, Amazon Web, Next Gen Sports, preventing and predicting injuries with the digital athlete. We go to the next level because we come in really, and with the best part of what our system does, we go into an area that nobody has, create a new market niche. And that's when you get that season ending or career ending injury. Now, those questions come up again. You got a $20 million player whose season's over, maybe his career's over. Speculation goes up in the air. He goes to his agent. The agent's not a medical person now. Then they bounce around to get multiple doctor opinions, and the decision has to be made. Can he come back? When will he come back? How will this affect the team? How will this affect my future if I'm the athlete? Does my insurance cover this? You know, a lot of issues come up. And then if you can't play, then we develop what's called a lost opportunity score. And basically what that is, now what opportunities did you lose as a result of the injury? How did that injury affect my brand? These are things that a typical athlete is not going to think about. Very few professional athletes either, because nobody discusses it. They're trained to perform. And they're never trained to think about what happens to you when you get hurt until you get one of these type of injuries. Then in the very last piece that we do, that absolutely nobody does, we use artificial intelligence, machine learning, after we project the seriousness of the injury, progression of the injury, then we project a monetary value of that injury on the brand of the athlete. And that can be used for court settlements, disability settlements, et cetera, et cetera. Last part, why this is so important to me, and I'm talking primarily professional high-level athletes, but this will trickle down from the top to the Pop Warner kid. In my practice, I don't deal that much with too many professional athletes anymore, but I deal with kids that I mentor that have gone on and are fortunate enough to be in the area, middle Georgia, where I have several young men now that been to the NFL, played NFL, NBA, or whatever, and they still call me and they ask questions. What I see, and I see it primarily in minority athletes, is they're afraid to ask you a question. If you come in and I try to, and I do explain, they use pamphlets and explain like what a meniscus tear is, they'll sit there and they're quiet. They don't question it. So I realized that was important. So my most recent patent is an avatar simulation patent. And it's called Simulation and Animation of Injuries. And what we do, we take an avatar. Now we show the meniscus tear, take your position, show how you got hurt, severity of it, tie it back to our data sources, and use it to teach. Because I know that if you don't ask the question, and all the young men nowadays are Xbox, PlayStation gurus, you'll be able to go and put it in the computer and plug a module in, put your position, show how you got hurt, explain what that injury is, tie it back to our data sources to answer the questions that I just laid out earlier, and watch it over and over. And also have your rehab protocols, surgical, non-surgical, and the fees associated with it. And that'll work too, middle school, high school level, because last part when Johnny and Daddy come in, and I tell Johnny and Daddy, Johnny hurt his meniscus, tore his meniscus. Johnny and Daddy sit there, and maybe Daddy may ask a couple questions. He goes on. Mama said, Johnny, what did the doctor tell you? I hurt my knee. Daddy, what did the doctor? We said he hurt his knee. And usually she said, I'm going back to the doctor next visit. So I know when I walk in the room and I see Mama sitting there, I know what's up. So that's going to be important when the future comes, and I give you an educational drive or a link that ties it back to that injury, so Mama can pull it up and she can show Johnny, this is what he said you had. This is what you're supposed to do. Now make sure you're doing it.
So Doc, let me ask you a question. So with your company and the information and the data that you have and you can provide to an athlete, whether they're in high school, college, or pro, is there a point where because a lot of it's going to either be lawsuits or it's going to be doing insurance coverage, because right now the problem is I see it as two things. One, some people don't have the proper insurance coverage. Two, if they do have insurance, the insurance companies try, just like homeowners insurance or auto insurance. Anytime you have a claim, the insurance job is to pay you the least amount, especially if you don't know what you're entitled to. So I see your company being very informative and to people, to let people know a certain type of injury that they have. If they have insurance coverage, the economic value of it, the replacement value of the industry. Is that true?
That's absolutely right. And I'm glad you touched on it, because right now, if you get hurt, if you have an insurance policy, they get to determine the value of it. You may have a $10 million policy, but they can come back and say, well, Robert, I think your knee injury is only worth $5 million. And you may get to challenge it. Most of the time you don't. If you do, then it gets to the point where you have to hire lawyers, you go to court, and still, at the end of the day, it'll be up to a jury or a judge. But what if? I'm not gonna say what if anymore. When you have data that can show what this injury is, how you got it, what it can progress to, what similar injuries in this category led to, what previous settlements have been, what precedents are there, and they're tied to objective data, this ball game's getting ready to change.
Rob and Dr. Malone, I can see how this could be helpful not just to elite athletes, but even parents who are having their kids, because now, even in high school and college, kids are going to start earning money because of the internet and because of what they're able to do and the returns they're able to get. So the preparation should really come, because Robert talks about this all the time, how you can insure that child, from birth, and how do you prepare, to progressively prepare to help your child, boy, girl, doesn't matter whether they're a swimmer or whatever. I can see how what you have would also say to a parent, wait a minute, I need to think about this. Yes, I'm going out here, as we're going to do this afternoon, and we're going to see young kids 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old playing a sport. Well, and some of them are going to get injured, So how is this going to affect them as they get quote unquote older? And that doesn't mean old. That just means as they progressively get older, as they progressively grow and their bodies change, isn't it an opportunity for it to go even beyond the elite athlete?
Yes. And, you guys have had, for instance, Bobby Butler on your show before. I worked with Bobby up in my area now for over 10 years, kids and pros. And they started those age groups you're talking about, dealing with football, proper tackling techniques and concussions, how to prevent injuries. You are right. And I tell you what has changed, and I predicted it. The good Lord gave me the vision about 5 or 6 years ago. I said that when Cory Booker first announced the concept of name, image, and likeness, where athletes get paid for the likeness and the brand, there's
Yes.
going to be some problems. And I was looking at from our perspective with our company, Elite Athlete Data Global, because two things were going to happen. At the collegiate level, the athletes will become employees, and now that's happened at Dartmouth. It's happened at other schools. Now the NCAA has finally come around and said athletes will be paid. Once athletes are paid for playing and they get hurt, that's now workers' comp. Somebody has to determine the value of those injuries and what those injuries would cost if it's season ending or career ending, and who pays it. And where does the data come from to justify it? Going back down to Pop Warner level, what you're talking about, and in high school in Georgia now, our kids can have NIL contracts, which means now they can sign contracts. I think the highest one, $30,000-$40,000 a year. So even if you go to our website, which is www.eliteadg.com, go to the very top, it says business sectors. It talks about business sectors that we service or plan to service. The last one is called NIL. And in the NIL section, I wrote a script. And basically, well, how can EAD help NIL? The answer to your question, Jimmy, is this. If my son is in high school, signed a $30,000 NIL deal, or let's go to college. Arch Manning made more money than the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. He ain't been on the field to play the game. Maybe played in a game. He ain't started. Point is, what if he gets hurt? And I'm a marketer and I'm the endorser of that name, image, and likeness. What happens to my endorsement if he gets hurt? If it's season ending or career ending? If I'm the player, is my money guaranteed? What I predict is going to happen here is before they write these contracts, they're going to contact us and say, before I sign John Doe in his position at quarterback, 6'3", 190-pound left-hand quarterback, previous history of shoulder injuries, what's his likelihood of injury? What do you project? You know, how long they played this position? Can you give me your data, your statistics required to sign from signing this contract? Then there's going to be provisions written in the contract, and that will deal with it, because you can't get the money forever. It's going to be like last year before OBJ came back. He had to deal with Nike, and he tore his ACL, same knee twice, and there was some debate. I don't know what the final was of whether or not they're going to continue paying his $20 million marketing contract, endorsement contract. So that answers your question.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for people, particularly the parents, to start thinking about your son or your daughter now, particularly if they're going to be in athletics. What am I going to do to better protect my child? You know, and how can I determine what type of life that they'll have after sports? Because I don't care how long you can be elite or you can be amateurish. You know, if you're an athlete and you get it and you get injuries, it will affect your lifestyle.
Well, you said something. You said a lot. Like my mother-in-law, your mama used to say, you said a mouthful. You know, if you go now, you look, the average NFL player plays 3.6 years. The average NFL player, there was a segment on 30 for 30 called Broke. 3 years after playing, they're out of money. And it ain't always just blowing it. You don't talk about that. But what you don't see and hear a lot is by the time I can look at a player that comes and sees me that's a young man in the 40s, and I can tell you if they play college football. I can look at the knees. I can look at the shoulders. By the time they're 50, they're beat up, and they don't understand that when you're 21 making, you know, a $30 million contract, you don't realize, depending on your position, like a running back, that by the time you're 40, your knees are going to look like you're 50. the average NFL lineman lives to be latter 50. These are statistics that are there. So you got to learn how to project for that and plan for that. And that's where one of the great things about what y'all do and understand the money, the things I've talked to Robert about. I also created a trademark called Business of Your Body because I felt like it was important not only just to have the statistics, but to be able to educate them. And I'm not going to be the one that's, I can tell you medically what to expect. Our data can show you. But when you have an Earl Campbell come in the door that can barely walk, or Todd Gurley that only played 5 years because he had torn ACLs in college, and they see it and they hear it from somebody who's been there. And you got the money people explaining to you why you should have a disability policy when 40% of NFL players don't. 40% of all professional players don't. And then what are you going to do with your money? You need to set your money aside to deal with your medical problems down the road. Because we all know as we get older, depending on if you got an education or not, the older you get, it's harder to find certain jobs. So you got to set aside your money and prepare for that. You know, rather than not being too critical, but rather than going and starting a club, a nightclub, things we typically do, or go buy a $250,000 car or something like that. Set some money back for your medical future because you're going to need it because I'm going to show you what you can expect to get.
Doc, it's called longevity risk. The longer you live, the greater the risk because it's like anything else. I don't care if you got a table, if you got a car, whatever you have, the older and the longer you have it, the risk of it breaking down and something happens become greater, right? I mean, when you get a brand new car, or you know, you don't think that it's going to break down the next day. Right. But if you have that brand new car and it's been 15 years, you know, things are going to break down. You have to change things. It's the same what you're saying about our body. So Doc, with your company, Edge, Elite Athlete Data Group Global, which I love that name, you have a solution for before and after. In other words, before, when you have a child that's playing, whether it's Pop Warner or college or a professional athlete, they should seek the data before, because you got to make sure that they have the proper coverage in case something happens. And I guess that's preventative. And you can tell them what can go on, especially if someone playing basketball or football and the position that they're playing. You can give them data. So your company is which the world, you know, we live in the information age, especially with this AI, it's data out there, and you consolidate all this data, and now people can have more readily information to be able to be successful in whatever endeavor they're doing. Correct?
That's correct.
And you have actually have a center, a resource center where and that's why we're having you on this show, because we want to let people know who's listening all over the world, because people feel like, you know, I know it's something out there, but I just don't know who or where to go, you know. And now what you are creating, like I said, it's for an individual's own good, because it assesses the value of an injury. It assesses also after an injury or even before an injury. So it's preventative, but even after, if someone didn't come to you and get this data, even after they have sustained an injury, they could seek Edge and find out more about what they're facing, so they can be able to bring the data that you've collected in the whole universe about their particular injury, and they'll be able to use that report and a claim over an insurance company or even in court of law. Is that correct?
That's correct. And let me add something that's going to be very important, because you'll probably hear people say, well, I can do that right now with some of these fantasy and gaming sites. You can to a certain extent, but can you, if you go get fantasy and gaming data, can you get the medical probability? In other words, what we're doing, we're 24/7 dynamic, collecting data into a repository, as you just mentioned, but backing up that data is medical literature. And there's a term in the medical world within a reasonable degree of medical certainty, or peer-reviewed journals. So we go out and we find these journals. So when I say Roberts is likely to have, when a meniscus tear, arthritis at such an age, we've got the journal articles to back it up and their references on top of that reference. That's what artificial intelligence and machine learning do. It learns from what it learns. And it doesn't take very long before you got the most accurate source of data out there. So there's some fantasy sites that you go to right now. They give you a probability of risk, and they tell you that it's a 50% chance that Robert Henderson would be hurt as a running back. Well, I can flip a coin and tell you that. But if I can combine what I know, what's on the internet with previous injuries, kind of like, you talked about this too before, how insurance companies determine your rate for your life policies and your commercial policies with life tables and your comorbidities. We will be the king in this area. And I will say this, it's taken me over 20 years, as I said. I've had several people tell me that won't work, can't do it. I say, thank you for your advice. Thank you for telling me we can. And then we're going to be that, and it's going to be a new market. What I'm talking about is a market that doesn't exist. The workers' comp, disability sector market, Robert, quote numbers what you like, is $80 billion with annual premiums written a year.
Whoa, repeat that.
$80 billion. We project what we're doing would create a new market niche, which would be 5% of that market, which is $5 billion a year. The whole healthcare market is a multi-trillion-dollar a year market. What our data and the way we plan to do this is going to do will streamline a lot of things, because a lot of times when you get these injuries and there's disputes over the value of them or how they're going to be paid, it gets tied up in court, the judicial system. If you got a streamlined source to go to that has objective data that's real time, they'll be going to our data source for answers to determine. I'm not going to say we would be the all in all, but the system can use our information as the gold standard. That's one of our objectives. Parents can use it to educate the kids.
That's what I was going to say. My thing, Rob and and Dr. Malone, is this. We want our viewers and our listeners to say, okay, you know your kid wants to play ball, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, soccer, or hey, there's so many children out there want to be athletes, and we enjoy athletics. So they go to school, whether it's junior high, high school, college, and all of this begins to grow. So how do I go to the Henderson Financial Group, who's connected with Dr. Scott Malone, and how do I prepare myself? Because I ran track, play baseball. Hey, you're going to get, if you're an athlete, you're going to get injured. An injury is going to come. So I want to know, hey, I know I went through even to the service and knew that I had injured myself playing Pop Warner ball, baseball, sliding into the second base. But if I had told my coach, he was going to take me out. So I continued to, and it was years later that, that knee began to wake me up in my sleep. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I want somebody to put this in and post this, because I think you definitely need to start by first going to the website, and it's called, correct me, Doc, if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. It's called Elite Athlete Data Global.com.
Yeah, the website, I'm gonna type it in for you. Is Elite.
Yeah,
type it in the post.
Yeah, hey, have my niece Kayla type it up. Doctor, you can do it.
Yeah, it's called Elite Athlete Data.
No, it's EliteADG.com.
Oh, okay.
Elite. You have to buy these domain names nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you write everything. Yeah, but somebody put that in the post, because this is very important, and I want the audience to spread this news, because the understanding money and it's all about money, because this is about claims, it's about insurance companies, this is about preventative care, and a lot of people don't know that they don't know that they don't even know what's available out here. And this is one of the things that we on this show we bring to you, products and services and information, and we're bringing this to you because we know there's a lot of kids that really love to play sports, and a lot of sports injuries happen, and a lot of people are left out there on their own, not knowing what to do. But here's help, and I want you to start by looking at this website. You can always contact the Henderson Financial Group. We got close ties with Dr. Malone, and we'll steer you in the right way. Even if you have an ex-athlete, or if you have a young athlete just got drafted in the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball, this information is very, very good, because there's a shortage of information that people have, and they don't even know that it's available to them. So that's why we're doing this and bringing the doctor on, because there's a great need for it. And a lot of people, especially a lot of people of color, don't know where to go. And if you're not connected and having a relationship, everything is about relationship. And that's why, the good book talks about having a relationship with the Creator to give you information, and it trickles right on down to us. We're showing you our relationship with each other and how we come together to help prosper, grow, and serve the community, which is you and ourselves. So please, okay, it's in there now. I see it right there. Yeah, eliteadg.com. All right.
Okay, right. They put it there. Doctor, before you go, I want to ask this, because I can, in listening to all the things that you have access to and that you can determine, and you mentioned it briefly about workman comp. Some people are not athletes, but they get injured on the job. Can they also benefit from your company?
Well, yeah, that's like back in the day when I was engineer for IBM, the operating system was called MS-DOS. And like when 2.1 came out, 2.3 was in the chute, and now we're in Windows 11. We are going to evolve into, once this is perfected, our models, and we're raising money perfecting the software now, then yes, the same logical reasoning can be applied to the workers' comp world, because you can look at injuries once again by job titles, demands, and determine what they would be and what they progress to. That's what ends up with litigation and tied up in court. But before I go, I was want to mention one other thing, since I think Robert touched on it briefly. Was there was an article about 5 years ago saying, why have all the white and Caucasian kids left contact sports? And the initial thought, and this is where data is so important, is because of the injury, right? Well, the NCAA did a study 5 or 10 years ago, and I asked you, Robert, a question: which sport had the highest incidence of concussions in the NCAA? Take a guess.
I'd say
Which sport have the highest energy?
Incidence of concussions.
First thing come to mind is football.
Yeah, that's the first thing come to mind is football.
But
that's wrong. The answer is girls soccer. So see, that's where the information helps. When they studied it, it was girls soccer. And that's when you go into a repository of data and you look at these, because there's going to be a lot of things that we assume or we think that aren't accurate. And when you got data to back it up and see it, so when you got parents that are afraid to let their kids play sports, and Bobby Butler and Buddy Carey, Kids and Pro, talk about this, and talk about it at their camp. They got parents not wanting the kids to play football, and they're teaching them proper technique for fear they're going to get hurt in football. Then you take them, put them in soccer, and they got a higher incidence of getting a concussion in soccer than they do in football. But you wouldn't know that unless you had the data to show that.
Right. Information is key. Information is key.
Yes.
And we really, like they say, people perish for the lack of understanding, lack of information, knowledge, and knowing this information, is knowledge. And now, like I said, a lot of people before you came on that didn't even know this exists, didn't even know that you could even do this, or this was available. And it's someone like you, doctor, who are really passionate about uh, um, really bringing a solution to a problem that exists for a very long time. So we're here to help get the word out. And we want you all listening and watching the audience. We want you to spread and get the word out too, because man, it starts with the people. All of us know a lot of people, and this thing can just spread, spread, spread. And I wanted to spread. I want you guys to tell other people, your cousins, your friends, just help them to it. And matter of fact, just forward that link, to your friends, your buddies, whether they're playing soccer or baseball or basketball. Just say, listen, man, take a look at this, on social media. Take a look at this. And it's something that's very good, and it's going to help you because you need information. Everything is about data. Give me the facts. I need reports, information, because that's what tells. It's the fabric of the future. Matter of fact, knowing something, because what you don't know will definitely hurt you. Ignorance costs.
Rob, I saw something recently, and I didn't think about it when it became so popular. Now you don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but where older people were playing pickleball. But playing pickleball, they were also getting injuries because, first of all, their bodies are not prepared usually
Right.
to take the wear and tear of stopping and sliding and falling and all of that. And so I really do believe that we have to, if we're going to look at the total picture of what our lifestyle is going to be like, everybody wants, well, I shouldn't say everybody. Most people want to live a long time, but more than that, they want to live a good life a long time and have sound health and peace of mind, freedom from fear, worry, and all of that. So we want to say before we get rid of the doctor, if anyone viewing us now has a quick question, please type it in or comment. Please type it in our comments. And we want to thank Dr. Scott Malone for being with us this morning.
Well, let me say one last thing from my standpoint. The good Lord has allowed me to live into my 60s now and allowed me to have great mentors and networking and meet a lot of people. And this company will be very successful. It's going to be a generational wealth thing from my kids. Both of them have a keen interest in this. But more importantly, the resources for this will allow me to help others, not only educationally, financially. I sponsor a lot of AAU teams, do a lot of community development sports programs for my whole community, and we'll be able to do much more. The biggest is going to be getting the education out to educate our people. And once again, just like we talked about mental health, not if you're afraid to ask a question, then go. Eventually, you'll be able to go to the EAD site and educate yourself.
That's what I love about it. That's what I love about it, man. That's what I love about it, man. So the future looks good, man. Regardless of what people say, the future looks good. The world is getting better. I'm telling you, the creator ain't creating no junk. Everything is happening the way it's supposed to. It's all in divine order. Don't be afraid. Fear is not of the Father. I'm telling you, man. We gonna be all right. We
Oh,
gonna be all right.
somebody,
Amen.
somebody made a song about that. It's just good though. It really is, and
All right, Doc.
we're happy to have you, Dr. Malone. Stay safe, and of course, enjoy the rest of your vacation. I know you took a little time out from your vacation to be with us, and we really do appreciate that
Okay.
because
Thank
Love
you
you.
guys for inviting me to the show.
oh
Yes,
no,
yes.
you'll be back.
You'll be back. Definitely be back. All right. Love you.
All right.
Talk to you
Thank you.
later.
Bye bye.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
We have
Okay.
wait, we have someone saying I'm in the process of studying for my life insurance license. Am I able to place that license with the Henderson Financial Group? I
Of
guess that's a question for you, Rob.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. We need more soldiers. As many as we can get. Boy, we need more soldiers. If you got a life insurance license, you call the Henderson Financial Group and you say, hey, I want to get down, I want to know more, I want to learn more, I want to have that relationship, man. You welcome, 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 welcome. I'm telling you, because we need help. There's a lot of work to do. And boy, we just getting started. We're
Ooh.
really just getting started. So yes, 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 yes. Just give us a call, 305-825-1444. Just call us, okay? And Say, hey, Rob, I heard you. I want to talk to you about. I'm gonna schedule some time with you, a meeting, a Zoom, or whatever. And the door will be. Hey, listen, what we always say, James: ask, seek, and
See,
knock.
yeah, hey,
You
and
have
doors
not
will
because
be
you
open.
ask not.
That's not, and that information is there. Uh, I, I I just really feel that parents, because today, this afternoon, several teams are coming to South Florida to play some of the local, well, I forget, and I don't know what's the league that's set up, but the city league teams,
Uh-huh.
and I know that from Delray Beach to Delray Rocks are playing this afternoon, but several teams have come from out of town to play the local, and these are supposedly championship type teams of that age group, of different age groups. And when you see young kids go out there and the parents are cheering them on and wanting to see them do well and all of that, Rob, you talk all the time about insurance, and I think people they don't look at that word insurance. What are you insuring? You're trying to protect yourself in case of, because we're going to always be dealing with something. So why not think about, well, what if? What if? And what do I need? Uh, and you can call the Henderson Financial Group and ask. You want to give a gift to your grandchild? Hmm. Hey, ask Rob what gift he gives his grandkids. You know, you want to
A
give a
gift that's
gift,
gonna keep on giving.
a gift that keeps on giving. So
Yes.
it's important when we do have these programs, as Robert said earlier, that you pass it on, and that you think about how can it benefit me, and then how can I help to benefit someone that I love? Because I love that. I love giving gifts, as Robert said, that keeps on giving.
Yes, yes. I was just looking at a client who we had, a client, they're retiring now. And it's been since 2004. So it's 20 years. These clients, husband and wife, been retiring. I remember we set up a automatic bank draft for their young child. Now, the child at that time was 6 years old. And James, we just looked at it. They was putting in like $350 a month. So total over the last 20 years, monthly, over the last 20 years, they have put in a total amount of $86,000. And that's been since 2004. Because they said, Rob, what can we do? I said, well, you can, if you don't have a lump sum of money, you can just start doing automatic bank drafts. It's like if you was paying a car note, 300, 350 a month. And I said, and just forget about it. And the year 2024, that was 20 years ago. That has went by. But we looked and said, okay, you put in a total of $86,000. So we looked at the value of that account. It was $310,000. So we said, wow, look how 20 years flew by. The child the child was 6 years old. Now the child, well, not 26 years
No.
old. Right. And that's the value of the account now. That's incredible, James. I mean, it's like I tell people, saving and investing, you don't have to start off with a lot. Even if you put $200 away just consistently, you will be surprised. And we set up automatic bank drafts where they just,
Mm.
you don't even think about it. You don't think about it. And it just become habitual. And they were doing that. So I said, well, let me see exactly. And they had out of their pocket $86,000, but the account value is $310,000. And I said, wow. And I said, do your child know that she has this money? And they said, no. I said, well, she's 26 now, I said, my goodness, They said, no, oh my God, she would lose her mind. I said, when y'all gonna tell her? They said, we're gonna tell her. I said, I know, I have a lot of clients like that. So my whole point is, 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. when are you going to start? Some people feel like they can't, but I tell you one thing, people, when they need a car, they want to get a new car, they don't hesitate. And I just found out the average car payment is $700 a month. And then don't get me started on these credit cards that people have been paying for a long time. If you pay yourself first, I'm telling you, if you just pay yourself first, I don't care if it's $150 a month, you got to think about it. There's a law that says you must pay yourself first, a universal law. Most of y'all didn't know that existed, but it is. It is a law that if you do that, you will prosper more. More things will be added to you. You have to first show that you're on board with it. It's an invisible universal law that says that if you put 1 foot forward, the system, the universe will put 2 foot for you. In other words, it'll take 2 steps for you. But most people don't know because they never heard of this. But there's certain cultures that understand this and they don't talk about it. So it's what we do, a whole lot of people, we like to buy these cars and just, clothes and designer stuff. No, you're missing the boat. If you just say, okay, and if you could do $500, $600 a month, oh my God, I'm telling you, you will be surprised in 20 years what will happen. If you're young, even if you're 40 years old, even if you're 50 years old, you're going to turn 60, you're going to turn 70, and you wish that you would have put it away. It's better, man, to have done it than to have not have done it, because time don't wait for no one. I'm telling you, man, I created wealth over time. I want to say it again. Stop trying to get these hurry up, quick, rich schemes. They don't work. It's a fool's game. The system is understanding, time. Time. It's going to come. If you plant it and you plant good seeds, it's impossible for you to get bad crop. It's going to be good crop. It's going to be good. It's just a universal law. And I try to get this through people's head, but people just keep telling me, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And you know how late? Later was 2 years ago, right? Time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, James, when you was out last week, I talked about this insurance company that we deal with, an annuity company, starting July 9th. They're offering 2 annuities, 2 guaranteed principal annuities where you don't have to, you can't lose a dime. And whatever minimum is 20,000, but they'll match. One of them, they'll match 32%. Match whatever you put in. I don't care. After you put in 20,000, then you can put in $100 or whatever, $200 or whatever you put in, they're gonna match at 32%. So if you put in $1,000, they're gonna give you $320,000. So every $1,000 you put in, they give you $320 on top of your $1,000. But it's always something that you gotta do. You gotta make an effort, and then people, will help you. That's the way it is. You have to make an effort. The Henderson Financial Group will help you, but you got to show up. You gotta say that you care, and then you get help. Then they got another annuity that says for every $1,000 you put in, they'll give you 47% match. So every $1,000 you put in, they give you $470. So you put $100,000 in, they give you $47,000. You put $500,000. It's amazing. And a lot of people don't know about this. You're talking about banks. Forget about banks. This money, as you put it in there and it grows, and you don't pay any tax on it. It continues to grow. So if you want to know more about this, call the Henderson Financial Group. Call us on Monday and say, Robert was talking about these 2 annuities that's coming out on July 9th. And they're giving you matching bonuses, whatever money you put in. Minimum now, 20,000. But if you say, Rob, I don't have 20,000, but I will have 20,000 in 6 months, you can do it. I can sign you up. And they'll give you 6 months to come up with the 20,000. You could be retiring, you could be selling some property or whatever, but you have 6 months. You do the registration, but you have 6 months to contribute it however you want to get your minimum 20,000. But if you're retiring, you can roll over money, or you can do an in-service rollover, meaning that you're working on the job. You call the HR department and say, can I take some of this money out of the up and down stock market and have it stabilized and put it into this thing with Henderson talking about? It's called an in-service rollover. But call the 305 number at the Henderson Finance Group, and we'll discuss it more with you. And it's 305, area code is 305-825-1444. There's a lot of things, I promise you, that you don't even know that you didn't even know that you didn't know. Just I want you to dwell on that. There's always a solution to the problem. There's somebody somewhere that can help you with your issue. Don't give up. And all you have to do is call the Henderson Finance Group and say, listen, I want to do this. So this is what I want to do. and I was thinking about, can you tell me how I should do it, or give me your advice on it? And we will. I promise you. At least now you have somebody personal, not just a robot. You call and they put you on dial 1 or dial 2 or go to this department. And come on, it's very personable. That's why we like what we do. Right, James?
Right. And before we go, Rob, I got to give a big shout out. Earlier when we started the show, I talked about last week being out, and we were in Tallahassee for a family reunion. Had people come from all over the country. It was our 45th Lockett family reunion. 45 years. Yeah. 45
Wow.
years we've been
That's
doing this.
incredible.
And hey, we have griots. One that I can shout out right now is my Uncle Herman Lockett. But I really want to give a shout out to a dear friend. And when I think of this brother, I can get choked up. Like when we talk, Rob. When you know genuine people who care about you and
That's a
care for
blessing.
you, man, shouts out to Joe Bullitt. Joe Bullitt in Tallahassee. When we went in early Thursday, I think it was. We drove up, and he said, "Man, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Hey, man, we have a family meet and greet Friday starting at 6 to 9." He said, "Okay, you're on the show. We're doing a show. We're gonna call it Joe Bullitt and James T. The Experience," and that was on, hey, as they call it, the big station in Tallahassee. So shouts out to Joe Bullitt and his family, and just for the love. I told Rob, you know what I told him? Like I tell you sometimes, I don't know how I can say thank you, you know, in the way that you've shown love. But hey, man, I love you, brother, and love what you do. I pray that God continues to bless your family, Robert and Joe, for you and your family. They're just coming back on a cruise, and he called me just before we went on the air. So they're going to be here in Miami and leaving out tomorrow. But hey, for folks, if you're ever in Tallahassee, check him out. He's Joe Bullitt, you know.
Joe Bullitt.
So,
Joe
yeah,
Bullitt. Was it
on
what's it?
96.1 FM,
96.1.
the big
96.
station in Tallahassee. Yeah,
I'm gonna ask
yeah.
my son who's in town from Tallahassee. I'm gonna
Oh,
ask him, hey,
everybody knows Joe Bullitt. Everybody.
yes, everybody knows Joe Bullitt.
Everybody.
Oh man.
Yeah, Rob. He even had the mayor come on and welcome us. He had the superintendent of schools. They had a luncheon. Yeah, I mean, Rob, when people do what you do, I'll put it that way. You know,
Love what you do.
hey, yeah.
Service. Yes.
I'm telling you, folks. Hey, you think that this guy is giving on Saturdays here, Robert Henderson, but this brother is a giver. And I tell he and Brother Bill Dozier, I'm always trying to catch up with them.
As a matter of fact, next Friday, I'm going to be talking to the students at Bill
okay.
Dozier's at his summer camp. You know,
Okay.
I'm going to be talking to the students.
I have to come and check it out. I have to come
Yeah, man.
I have to be in
And right now, we need prayer, bro. We need some prayer.
Okay. Father
Especially
God,
what's
Lord
going on
Jesus.
with, hey, JJ, especially what's going on with this whole election thing. We need prayer, right?
But Rob, guess what? Woo, hey, we win.
We're going to be all right.
We're going to be all right. Father God, Lord Jesus, Holy Spirit, we thank you for this right now moment. We thank you for our special guest, Dr. Malone, and his family. We pray safety as they travel back home. But we also want to pray for those people who check in with us on Saturdays and their families as well. Yes, we're in these quote unquote difficult times, but they're only difficult because of our perception. If we're going to truly be faithful and we are going to believe that all things, not some things, that all things are going to work for our good. Dear Lord, we thank you. We thank you because we're going to stand on that word, that promise that you made to us. So for each voice, each one that will hear this, let them know that you have a plan, oh God, that you have a promise, oh God, that you have a purpose, oh God, for all of us, and you will provide all the provisions that we need to become all that you have created us to be. So in that, we say thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, James. This gonna be good. This gonna be good. Woo! Just this is Rob. This better than what's happening now in the world. It's better than HBO.
Okay, hey Rob. I tell them Shakari, I think Shakari, the track star,
Yeah.
the interviewer came up to her and said, "You're back." She said, "No, I'm better. I'm better. I'm not just back. I'm better. We're gonna be better, Rob. We're gonna be
That's right.
Hezekiah Walker. Y'all look it up. Better. Play that all this weekend.
Uh,
Hezekiah Walker. It's gonna be better. Love you, Robert.
love you too. Love you more, brother. Peace. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and be safe. Be safe. Love you. All right.